From a distance, it actually looks like Uluru. They're like square tubing. Moment we drove into the national park, the corrugations are terrible. So we just left Mount Ayres station. We had a really good time, and now we are heading towards the coast, the west coast of South Australia, a place called Coffin Bay National Park. That's about 400 kilometers from where we are right now. But along the way, we are going to do a stopover at Gawler National Park. There is more of the organ pipes, the rock formations that we can see, and from what I've gathered, it's a lot more in abundance than it was at Mount Ayres station. The dust is getting to a Johnny.
There's no dust.
She's been sneezing.
There's no dust.
Anyway, so yeah, so we got time, so we got to stop over there now. To enter a national park, you obviously have to have an entry permit paid for. And in the old days, you know, about
Go past it.
we're going past here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we've in the past you could go and pay at the entrance to the park, but not anymore. You're going to do it online. And so even though we were not completely decided whether we were going to go to Gawler National Park or not, we took out a entry permit anyway. It's not a whole lot of money, and I'm glad we did, because now we can head in there and spend the better part of today before we head towards the coast. Now, we were driving around Mount Ayres station for the last 4 days, and while the roads did have corrugations, it wasn't too bad. With the right tire pressures, you know, it was comfortable. Moment we drove into the national park, the corrugations are terrible. I've got my pressures down to 30 right now, and it's still corrugations. And the problem is, they allow two-wheel drives in here, and I'm not saying don't allow two-wheel drives, because everybody should be able to access these wonderful places, but corrugations are mostly created by two-wheel drive vehicles or people in four-wheel drives who just don't bother to engage four-wheel drive. So the two-wheel drive guys, you could excuse them and say they also want to get out here and take a look at what's available. But if you're driving a four-wheel drive, if you're off-road, even if the roads are really nice and smooth, engage four-wheel drive. It makes it so much easier on the road and then for other users, because this is just nothing but annoying. There's nothing four-wheel driving about going over corrugations, and it's just so annoying. Another reason for corrugations is the wrong tire pressures. when you're out here, bring a compressor along. That's one of the basics of off-roading, basic pieces of kit to have. And when you get out here, so when you get out here, just drop your tire pressures. Walk right over there. So it's about, I don't know, 200 meters.
Okay.
Let's walk. So you're gonna park and walk about 200 meters, I'm guessing. Come back with an appetite, have lunch, isn't it? We can do lunch here.
Yeah.
Give my poor shocks a resting period. Honestly, the corrugations are so bad. Just absolutely hated it.
You're thinking it is 200 kilometers,
200 meters.
but it could be like 2 kilometers.
No.
Look how far that's in.
My assumption is from the car park, it's about 200 meters. Ajani reckons it's about 2 kilometers.
Look how far that is.
Let's go. So it is about 200 to 300 meters from where we park the car, and I feel that these are more accessible than the ones we saw at Mount Ayres station. Mount Ayres, I think it was a lot more of a walk. It's pretty incredible. And everywhere you look, you see nothing but these rock formations. And even in the far distance, over there, right there, there's plenty of them. I guess if you're more adventurous, you could probably walk all the way up there. We are not going to bother. Just look at this. This is remarkable. I mean, all these rock formations are remarkable, but look at this one. This is a perfect example. It's obviously broken off and fallen down from wherever, maybe from back here or from up there. And look at the shape. It's almost as if it was done by machine. Now, I keep saying this, I'm no geologist, so I don't know a whole lot about these things. All that I can say is I'm very intrigued by what I'm seeing. I do know there's someone who's following me on the channel and she's a geologist, so maybe she can put some comments down below explaining to us exactly how this works, or just do a Google search. But these are the times I wish I had a lot more knowledge. It's just remarkable, and this is probably many millions of years old, and that gets me thinking, if only they could talk, I would sit here forever listening to their stories. And what's remarkable to me is, and I keep saying this, and it is just such an intrigue in me right now, is exactly how straight these lines are. Look at that. They're like square tubing. And quite honestly, if you got a rock in this day and age with all the machinery that we have, and we asked them to get someone to cut it dead straight, they'll probably get it wrong. Probably I'm exaggerating, but the point I'm trying to make is how nature has done it so perfectly well without the help of any machinery or modern day technology. And especially this one here. Look at that. Look how straight down it is. And I do understand about the whole volcanic eruption and the lava pouring down and eventually forming, getting these formations. But my question is, and this is probably maybe lack of knowledge on my part, is how did it become so straight the way it is right there? Because you would think lava is liquid form, so it'll just flow down, a bit like pouring syrup over a pancake or something of that sort. And yet these ones came right down, and it's everywhere you look, it's everywhere. So how in the world did it become so perfectly straight and tube-like? Over in the distance there, right towards the top of the hills, you can see the rock is very smoothened out, and you can see a little bit of water that's been left behind. So maybe there was rain recently, I'm not too sure. But what that tells me, and also the fact that the rocks up there are a lot more smoother, it's sort of almost like they're carved. What that tells me is that when there's adequate rain, water flows down that way and along, and it probably cascades down. And I'm thinking, when that happens, it must be quite the sight. But the shape of the rocks, the smoothness on the rocks, and a little bit of water that's left behind tells me that from up there, I'm not too sure where up there leads to, but that tells me that water certainly flows down. We just returned to the main junction after seeing the organ pipes inside the national park. And there's one more rock formation to see that's called, what's the name of it? Pildapa Rock, they call it. It's just outside of the national park according to the map, and that's heading in that direction. And once we've seen that, then the coast, here we come. Approaching Pildapa Rock. From a distance, it actually looks like Uluru. Now this rock, Pildapa Rock, is nowhere near as big as Uluru or Ayres Rock, but nevertheless it is quite a majestic, gigantic rock that sticks out of the ground in the middle of nowhere. And it is quite a sight, it is beautiful. And the shape, now if you take a look and if you see sort of towards the side here, it's got sort of a curved shape. Now I believe what happened was, this rock was about 1500 million years ago, was about 5 kilometers underneath the ground. And the moist soil towards the sides of this rock slowly eroded it to get that shape. And over time, as the ground level sort of receded or dropped off, the rock got exposed. And that's how we get to see it today and enjoy it. And also that's how the shape was created over time. Now, I think we can get onto to the top of the rock. I do see a Johnny in the distance. She's climbed the rock. So there's no signs or anything that says we cannot or we're not allowed to. So I'm going to head in that direction. Got myself a cup of tea. So we are going to go to the top as far high as we can. Where's your cup?
Back there.
Johnny's taken her shoes off. She's walking bare feet. She thinks this has got magnetic properties that has healing powers. That's what you said.
What magnetic?
Oh, some kind of an earthing property, isn't it? Okay, earthing, grounding. Okay. You can see how the erosion over time took place. So that would have been water that's been flowing down the rock over the years. And you can see it's almost created like a little stream along the rock. Now, you can imagine how many years, how many millions of years it would have taken for this to be created. But nevertheless, there it is. And here's another one, almost a big pool of water leading its way all the way down. Wow, it looks beautiful from up here. So that's a perfect example of water that's collected, and I think over millions of years these sort of troughs, if that's the right word to use, has been created. Water fills up, and then eventually once it's overflowing, it flows all the way down the rock. And there's so many of these up here. And I'm thinking on a day when there's heavy rainfall, this rock would be quite a sight to take in, because there'll be all multiple waterfalls from every area of the rock. And here, look at this, this is like massive. And the water must have been swirling when it pours in, it probably swirls, and that's how it got almost perfect circular shape created over millions of years. Look at that. Babe, come check this. There's another big one.